talk about some of the books that have been coming out.
I would know. We don't get any books.
I know. That's a great thing.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Sacred Society podcast with myself here, X.
Dadpool.
And Butcher Brand.
And Butcher's
Butch
Biscuits.
is out this week again. Shout out to Mr. Butcher.
I am the Smile Ghost.
Yeah, I know he is currently just recovering right now. He has his legs that he's working on for a triathlon.
Yes.
And
they're rebuilding him like the $6 million man.
Except it's pesos. But yeah, dude, how have you been, brother? I have not seen you for like almost.
Well, it's
like
been
really,
a week. Yeah, it's like last week, but I mean, it's just been like it feels like months because again, we just finished the final move with everything over at Intergalactic, and it pretty much took the whole entire month of February to get us out of old location and into the new one, and it's amazing. Like, what's his name? Dan Midnight stopped by today.
Oh.
He was picking up his books for this week because we finally got our lunar in, and that's the crazy thing, man. Like, because we had been in this transition of being in two different spots at once, we were missing some of our deliveries. So Lunar ended up sending the whole month's worth of February comics in one box. And so last week we got them, and I just had to put them all up, and it did really well as far as sales was concerned. But Dan Midnight had come in today, and he brought up an interesting point because I guess he had ran into an old friend of his who was helping to clean out an estate, and they were getting rid of a lot of books, and so he came across some really nice old art books and stuff. And I guess this is from a guy that used to be an agent for some of the comic book artists. I'm not sure about the name. He didn't really want to say too much, which, hey, respect that. But he was talking about how, like, you know, when someone passes and they have to get rid of their stuff, you know, or someone has to go through their stuff, he's like, it got him thinking, like, what's going to happen to my stuff? You know, what's going to happen to it? How is a person going to filter through some of that? You know, because when you think about it, a lot of us that are collectors, whether it be comics, toys, or whatever we're into, it's a lot of time and energy that gets spent doing all that stuff. And then when you ultimately pass away, I mean, you can't take that with you. You know, and so you're stuck with someone having to go through it. And like I explained to him, I was like, well, yeah, when we had to go through the Owens collection, you know, and it's like the amount of respect that we took when we were going through it, not just because of we know them, but just because, you know, we were coming at it from a collector's point of view of just like, you know, this is somebody's stuff. Yeah. You know, this is somebody's life. This is somebody's time and effort that they put into this. And, to see the care and the intricacies and the details that this person put together for that collection and the money spent on that, you know, it's like you definitely want it to go to the right hands, or you want it to go to the right people for a new home when it's being rehomed, so to speak, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that is move your mic down more towards you.
Does
there
that work?
You go.
Okay, cool.
I feel like that's the hard part about looking through collections is you start seeing things and I appreciate my pimple face and nerd comic book family, says Jose Cortina.
Hey,
looking in the mirror is a great thing. I feel like that's the hard part, right? Is like when you look at people's collections, you're seeing someone's habits, right? How much they were into it, how much they weren't into it, and how it doesn't really have a place. Like, I was having this conversation with a friend. Like, I'm really big into this movement called Liminal. Okay. And it's big on TikTok. It's big on Spotify right now, where people are taking a lot of, they call it like dreamcore, where it's just places you dream of and what it feels like and just the spatialness of it. And the crazy part is like when you're doing this, you're reflecting on things. And, you know, from my perspective, you buy so much and you do so much, but if you're gone, what happens? Like, it's still there.
Yeah.
And in that Dreamcore, they talk about where, you know, there was somebody with the ambition that you have right now for something 1,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. What is their name? And you have no idea, you know, outside of like a famous person.
Right.
And, you know, what is left of theirs is buried beneath rock and soot. If we are lucky to find that thing, what does it truly mean to us now outside of just a memory? And so when you're going through these collections, it's so interesting to see how somebody takes something that means the world to you and goes, "That's worth $50.
Yeah.
Who wants it?" Because that's part of the market.
Right,
That's what
right.
it takes to do these things. And from my point of view, I think that, you know, I have a tremendous amount of things through the shop, but my actual personal life, I don't really have much. What do you think, out of everything you have, because you have a pretty heavy collection, like out of everything you have, what do you think are the most valuable, like internally to you, not monetary wise, but like they mean something to you in your collection?
Well, that's just it. It varies between like the pieces that I have collected. Like I find that the stuff that people gave to me throughout time, and they were meaningful gifts, those are the ones that mean the most in my collection, because it's like, oh yeah, I remember when this person gave me this, and so I would never part with something like that, versus
Right.
some of the other figures and vehicles and toys and other things that I've come across that I'd be like, I'm all right with letting that go. You know what I mean? But as far as like one thing, because I have so much, dude, you know what I mean? My lightsabers, you know, I think those are something I would love to hold on to. I even joke around, you know, when it comes to my time to die, I don't know which suit I'd want to be buried in, my Deadpool one or my Jedi one, but definitely I want to have the lightsaber that I got machine made from a company out of Texas. Years in Your Park Sabers is the name. This is early 2000s. I want that one buried with me, or if I choose to get cremated, to have my ashes stuffed inside the lightsaber hilt and sealed in there and let it be on somebody's,
Dude,
on my
this
son's.
fucking bong is dusty. yeah, I get that. I mean, for me, I don't really know. Like I have this that's right here.
Oh yeah, I was checking that out when I came in. I was gonna.
Yeah,
comment. It's like, are you ready to start a new band? Because I'm down, dude.
No, my mentor Mike Johnston had come to visit me. He owns Mike'sLessons.com. He's also on the Drum Podcast with Mike and Eddie. And you know, I've seen this guy go from a YouTube channel with 10 people on it to in his room to now a facility that, you know, from my perspective, if you ever want to know what made me look at Mike, because that's the dude that I aspired to be when I was young, because kind of like Milo from the Descendants, I've always had this respect for being a nerd and being a punk rocker, right? But for him, he has this tremendous following and ability to just push and push and push, and he's a one-man show with, well, I shouldn't say one-man show, but like he is himself with his wife and a few other people that do help him here and there, but like it's him who makes that run, and it's Amber who keeps him in check, kind of like in my camp, you know.
Sounds familiar.
But he has his brand new drum pad from a company called Vic Firth coming out.
Oh shit.
And he has one of his prototype snares, and both of these are prototypes, so he gave me one of ones for those, and it was an honor, man. Like, it's an absolute honor to not only have those things, but something where it's like, you've earned these, in my opinion, and you, like, these aren't meant to be put on a shelf, these are meant to be used.
Oh yeah. Well, you do use your stuff. Like, you're sitting over on the other side and we're chilling on that.
But he told me specifically, it's like, these are not for you to covet. Like, you need to put this to use, you know? And
I like that.
Having that conversation of like what it's been like seeing him go from a guy in his bedroom to this guy that, you know, travels the world and teaches for a living. It's crazy, because you ask yourself, like, people look at you and say, like, you must have everything, you must have this and that, and it must be amazing. But it's funny, because like, if I were to pass and I were to leave anything behind, I would have maybe a handful of things, including these, that meant the world to me, but maybe not so much to Sanzu or to somebody else, where when she dies, you know, or whomever or whatever, that's just going to be like, oh, that's an old drum, that's an old this, because it eventually goes down the line.
Right.
When when he collects snares from 1915, 1921, he has all these amazing legendary snares, but who owned that? Who played with it?
Who
had it in their home, and what was their life like? Taking part of collections are such an interesting dynamic because you have a piece of history that somebody one day will read about. But we look at it as a market value, as somebody looks at it as a marker in time. And that is just, it is such an interesting thing to check out. So when you go in and people start being like, oh my God, I can't believe this is here, I can't believe it's there. Like, so what, did Dan found the collection and did he help him buy it, or is he buying it for himself?
No, I guess she was like, hey, you know, I'm having to go through this estate. I have some old books. I guess she put a post up and said, like, I'm getting rid of this stuff. If anybody wants it, say something. And he's like, hey, I like it. And I guess there was some Superman book in the background that was like something cool. So he's like, yeah. So he ended up getting it. And he said he just, after he'd picked the books up, he was really grateful for it and everything. But he just kind of felt like it just one of those moments, like, because we're all getting up in age. You know, I'm getting ready to turn 50 later this summer. So for me, it's like, you know, I started looking at my collection and looking at the stuff I have, and I'm like, this is pretty cool, you know, but who's going to own it one day, you know? And I look around, I'm like, dude, I know isn't going to want it. You know, he says that he wants certain things and he shows some interest, but I hope, if anything, if he wants any of my stuff, it would be more of the music equipment that I have, all my guitars, all the basses and that kind of stuff. But I don't know what he would remember me most for, I guess. Just other than just being dad and being nerd, you know?
Yeah, like I had a conversation with JB, and I had a conversation with one of my other clients about this and how important from my point of view it is. But like my pops, when I was about 10, had this moment where we were traveling off of Metz Road, which is a back road down in the South County area. And when you're back there, you are back there. And we were talking, and one day he goes, you know what, boy, I am so curious and looking forward to the kind of conversations we're gonna have when I'm gone. And in my head, I'm like, you stupid motherfucker, when you're gone, you can't talk to me. What fucking boo this man? Boo. You know what I mean? And
or is it boo this man?
Oh, thank you, Christopher. My father's dead. But you know, like I had a real moment of where I absolutely was talking to myself, as I usually do in my head, and I could hear him speaking to me about certain things. And it's funny because that's the kind of insight that we look at, right? Of like, what do I really think about with my dad after the years he's been gone? And
none of us are gifted enough or rich enough to have James Stark's technology, where he has his dad's head still in a fucking jar and he can be able to like go to him whenever he needs technology advice or anything else like that. That's what the current storyline's going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In the new Avengers Twilight, I just picked it up a couple weeks ago, and I had it sitting there. I was like, you know, I'm going to read through some of this, and it's a pretty good story. But that was one of the things. So when you started talking about that, you know, it made me think about it. I was like, yeah, you know, it must be nice to have that ability. But how cool would that be, or how strange would that be? You know,
he would just talk shit. He's all quit,
and that's just it.
Quit jerking.
I can't shut my eyes.
He's like, whatever you do, quit jerking off in front of my jaw. I can see you. It's a fucking studio apartment.
Stop using my jar as a piss bucket.
Exactly. Listen, yeah. For the love of God, I'm tired of deviled eggs. You know, when I think about when my dad passed, the thing I took from it the most was I have my dad's class ring, and I have this little neon clock he had called Eat at Joe's. And it was a baby blue and a pink and white neon clock. And I always remembered it because you would see that everywhere, but it was specifically because my dad loved Looney Tunes. You know, he would always have that with me. And it's funny because in his head, he always was my power tools, my cars, my trucks, my this, my that. And then he sold everything by the time he was, you know, by the time he passed. And out of everything left, there was one thing I wanted from the house before we took off, which was this 18th century Bible. He collected Bibles.
Oh, dude, that would have been something.
But the stench from the air had gotten too much into it, and it's animal.
It became the Book of the Dead.
Basically, dude. Fuck. Thank you, Christopher. Yes,
I'm
my
on a roll
father
tonight.
is dead.
I'm on a roll tonight. Boo!
Yeah, exactly. Boo, this man. Fuck you, old man. Fuck you.
But hey, but seriously, he does talk to us every time we have gone out to lunch or dinner or places wherever we're having breakfast.
Yeah,
we could be deep in a conversation, and all of a sudden, your father's wisdom, like magically synchronicity, like plays in the background.
Yeah, my dad's gay because he likes show tunes. Whoop-de-doo.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime gal.
Yeah, the entire time I'm trying to pay for lunch. He's like, ooh, boo,
this
pay for my plate. I'm like, you freeloader, you goddamn cocksucker. But you know, I feel like I there's nothing in the collection. Like my dad never collected any of the cool shit I was into, but to him it was cool. To him, he had his stuff. And I feel about that. It's like, you know, if I die, what the amount of shit that's left behind is astronomical. But I always think about the day that after we had to like clear out the house, all his neighbors, which were all into construction and this and that, they came out and trying to buy his tools for like $40. I'll never forget, like thousands of dollars worth of tools. And like, I'll give you $40 for it. And Nathaniel and Cesar were trying to like, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And I just remember the only words I had spoken was like, out come the wolves. And I feel like that was such a huge thing because that's all I could think about was, you know, and ironically, I have the money box somewhere over here, I think, where literally, oh man, this is my dad's. And I wrote it as people were trying to rip us off. And out come the wolves.
Put it on the camera. Where is it?
Oh yeah. Let me go ahead and put it on the camera. Sure, why not? But you know that was a thing in this very empty money box. That
hold on, I got some money. I got donations for it.
Good. But you know when you're going through collections, when you're going through stuff like that, it's such a high and a low, because if you really do care about people, you're going through something that is never there. Other people are like, fuck it, dude, it's money. It's money, get it in, get it good, and get it done. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. No. But after a while, it gets to be daunting, man, because the dark side of collecting is that one day somebody will hold your fondest memory in their store window. Or in this case, when Jeff Bezos takes over the world, they'll hold it on an Amazon auction
block. Yep.
And somebody will completely hold it as like, man, this is cool, and it'll mean nothing of you.
Right.
And that's okay. Did you get what you wanted out of it? Did you get what you liked? And so it's funny because I feel like with he has no idea how cool your collection is versus like my dad's collection, which was a bunch of fucking tools and dollies and
but
saws.
you also saw a lot of the toys and you heard a lot about the books that influenced your childhood.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure now in this point you've seen a lot of those books in better condition, and it's like that's another connection to your dad that, you know, it's like little things like that you will never lose. Like even though paper and anything else can be destroyed, it's like those little core memories, those little connections that we can still have to the people that are no longer here. Those are the things that really matter in life. Like in the end of it all, like we can have all this cool shit, like you said, has no idea the cool stuff that I do have, and I'm sure that when he goes through it, he's gonna be like, oh my god, I didn't even know my dad had this. You know, like I can't wait till he finds my Playboys. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's funny because he's growing up in a generation that's never going to see that. You know what I mean? Because they don't have that mentality isn't around anymore. And a lot of the ones that I bought during those times were because it was like the Marge Simpson one, or it was something that was like,
man, you're really swinging hard.
What was the other one? Jessica Rabbit one. I think I had. I know I got a Star Wars themed one.
Of course.
But it was things that like I remember at the time my ex-wife, she was working at Borders. And she was the one that was buying them. She was like, here you go. So I'm like, fuck yeah, hell yeah. But again,
stare at Jessica Rabbit's tits.
Yes.
One day you will give this to your son when we're divorced, and too shall he jerk off to it. I'm all,
no, you don't do that. But you know, it's just like, and again, when he starts going through it and he starts to find some of the stuff from like my childhood, like this stuff that they don't even have anymore. Like Clash of the Titans. When's the last time a Clash of the Titans movie came out?
When my
Like,
sisters fucking started fighting over lunch. They put it in front of a fucking when they put it in front of a trough.
They were fighting over Greek food.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so it's like, things like that I have from, the Lone Ranger collection and like all this old era stuff that my dad and my granddads grew up with, that were still toys being made in my generation, that now in his, there's no real connection to those old ones, other than when he sees it, he's going to be like, what is this shit? Let me get out my Google Lens and track it down and see how much it's worth, and then because it's not going to be the emotional connection to the stuff. I don't think he might.
Yeah, I mean, if your son has an emotional connection to Marge Simpson on a Playboy, I'd be more concerned.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Kieran Digital is on the chat right now, and he says Marge Simpson has had a Playboy issue? ?
She did. Yeah.
What year is this?
Oh
you think?
God, I know it was in the 2000s. It had to be in like early 2000, 2001 to maybe 2003, somewhere right around there. Yeah. So, but,
all right.
No, but I wonder about what's going to happen with my collection, and that's part of the reason why I think I've been downsizing and getting rid of what I do have, because to me, it's like, it served its purpose. I think at the time, a lot of us, we got into collecting because we lost those childhood toys as a kid through parents getting mad and selling to garage sales, or forgetting those toys were up in the attic and they got sold at a garage sale, or in my case, the majority of all my childhood stuff got lost in a storage that my brother forgot to take care of, and so it basically lost the whole family's like belongings and treasures and everything else like that. So yeah. But it happens, and again, those are just things, you know what I mean? And like in the end of the day, it's just things. We still have each other. That's the main thing that's important. Like, I'm still grateful that I have both my dads and my mom still around, and I get to have conversations with them when I need to. It's funny now because I'm to a place in my life where I've outgrown them, so it's like there's nothing really else that they can do for me at this point, that they can't teach me or can't really share with me. If anything, it's just more or less me just trying to let them be great grandparents to my son, let them spoil him as much as they want, because I came to this realization not too long ago, like, I know I'm going to have that conversation one day with him and say, hey, Grandpa passed away, or, Wella passed away, or Wella passed away. And it's like, that's going to be a hard day. That's going to be a hard conversation. But I know that the way that they treated him, the way that they loved him, all the good feelings he's going to have, and those memories are going to be the first things he's going to think of, versus all the times when they tried to spoil him and I said, nope, you can't do that. You didn't do it to me, you don't get to spoil him, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
as you're pulling away his Jessica Rabbit Playboy, he's like, wait, no! Has death hit your family pretty hard at all?
Yeah, I think that, the big one for us was when we lost my grandfather on my dad's side. When he was like the main one that kept us all together. I mean, he was a minister. He was a great father, great grandfather. But I remember like that Christmas after he passed, because he passed in April, like right around Easter. And then later that year when we had Christmas, all the traditions that we had with him kind of went away. Yeah. He used to do, because he would play piano, he would be around the piano, so we'd have to sing all the songs. And of course, none of us were in key, and he didn't even know how to play most of these songs anyways. But he did his best. And you know what? It was just one of those family traditions that we had to do, and before we could open up gifts. But it was those fun times that you remember. And that first Christmas without him, they changed the rules. They started doing this white elephant gift exchange thing. And it was kind of sad, because you saw all these folks that used to be loving and caring. When that game came around, you really saw the dark side of them come out, and like everybody was fighting over the one thing. And I remember as this is happening, like I was done. I was like, no, this isn't Christmas to me. This isn't what the family's about, And like after that, I never really went to any more family gatherings after that, because it just didn't feel the same, So, but yeah, I'm grateful for having my folks around and being able to have those conversations with them, at least tell them like, hey, how's it going? You know, what's new? And like my dad, he's off to Spain recently, and I'm like, dude, this guy just travels. Of course, my mom's over here battling fucking voodoo lung disease. I don't know what's going on with her, and you know, so it's interesting. It's an interesting time right now, just watching them both age, and you know, just like praying that nothing happens to them, but knowing that if something does happen, that you know, I'm cool with how things have turned out, and I'm glad for the relationship, and especially the repaired relationships that I've been able to make with both of them. You know, for all the shit that they pulled, because again, they were no different than I am. You know, when I think about as adults, we try not to make the same mistakes as parents that our parents made with us, and we just try to do the best we can. And yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, from my experiences, I feel like you can't avoid it, right? Like, you are the perfect culmination. This is you, this is myself, this is Butch, this is people in the chat, or the Sacred Society in general. Like, everybody in that's here right now, including the people that are watching, everybody can think about one thing right now that makes you twitch and cringe at something stupid you did. The other thing is that, like, you're always going to think that you're the worst. I was talking to JB the other day, and we were talking about things, because a lot of people don't know JB used to be law enforcement. And, you know, he talks about, like, how, you know, you're taught to read people, and he goes, you never kind of lose that plus their intuition. And he goes, you know, the funny thing is about people is when they speak to each other and they think like, man, this, excuse me, this is the worst thing I have ever done. This is the worst thing that I've ever blah, 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 blah. And they hold themselves to this, like, really dark place if they actually have some kind of accountability. And they're like, if I could fix this, I would change this. And the crazy part is that everybody feels like they're the one thing that has absolutely ruined something, and they can't forgive themselves. And then there's other people who feel that way about themselves, and then more and more and more. The sad part about it is that when you don't have those open dialogues and you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable, it's not going to heal anything. It's not going to help anything. And that's why you see a lot of these people with collections that die alone, and then somebody comes to clean out the house and they have this, oh my God, it's a Superman #1. It's this and that. Like, that person probably never had a chance to really mend things or talk to people.
Or even share what they had. You know,
that's what I mean, to share. I think anybody can share, but it's the stubbornness of that person. You know, the joke of, like, everybody talks shit about you until you die, and then like, oh, well, he's in a better place now, and my better place is just a bunch of flames. You're, you know, and I don't think that enough people, truly, in my opinion, from nerds to just human beings in general, I don't think that anybody on this earth really gets to understand the fact that you are running from something, or you are hiding from something, or you are trying to overcome something, just like the next person. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why we jump to pop culture. There's a reason why we jump into things. Dune 2 is like the hottest thing right now, and the fucking, you know, the whole thing going on and shit.
The fucking popcorn bucket.
Yeah, the ultimate popcorn bucket. They go put it next to your Jessica Rabbit fucking Playboy, and
that's what a rabbit hole looks like.
Exactly. Ooh, yeah, I'm all patty cake.
Baker's dozen.
But I feel like because we jump into things like that, that's why people tend to heal through nerdom.
Yeah.
And why you see people also kind of jump into things. I would have never met half of the society members. Like, I can honestly say this. I would put about a 90-10 ratio of the people that are actually into this stuff are more fucked up than people that are not. And the ones that are fucked up, the 90%, tend to be the nicest people. Doesn't mean they're perfect, doesn't mean they're kind, doesn't mean that they are the ultimate be-all, end-all, but they're pretty fucking solid people when it matters.
Yeah.
Because they have somebody they can nerd out and share with. It's the most vulnerable you can be with something.
100%.
And I feel as well that if when the day comes that you have to have those conversations, the best advice I was ever given about death was by my cousin Mark, and he had said, as long as you're not hurting yourself or somebody else deliberately, you can mourn the way you fucking want to mourn.
Yeah.
You can collect the way you want to collect. You can share the way you want to share. Whatever it is, do that thing. But you have to go through that. I've been redoing the Brushes of Doom podcast, and I have been doing it for my own soul. I love speaking on here and with the society and everybody, but at my heart and my core, like, I love talking art.
Yeah.
I love talking very technical things. And we were talking about the whole idea of what's called the grief note. And the grief note is a sequence of minors and sevenths in music that when you transcribe them, it hurts you to your core. It's a very real thing that affects you. And why that's a good thing, because it allows you to feel things that you normally wouldn't. And so looking at things like The Watchmen, looking at things like The Magic Order. No.
Yes.
Looking at things like
if you didn't say it, I was going to.
Exactly.
I've been trained.
Looking at things in pop culture itself that when you watch it, you're like, man, that really hurts. One of the biggest ones in the past 10 years, I think, has been, and a good example of the grief note is, what was it? The one with all the emotions, the Pixar movie. There were all the emotions in the little kid.
Oh, not Elemental. I know which one you're thinking of. Fuck, why can't I think of it?
Neither can I.
Jump on my phone here.
Yeah, but Bing Bong.
Bing Bong.
Yeah, and the way that he sacrifices himself to protect the kid and the core memory and this and that. I feel like that's all of us at our core when we collect and when we buy things, because the reality is I know a lot of people that feel misplaced and they feel hurt or they feel lost, but then they read something or they share something or they watch something, they can talk with somebody about it, and immediately they feel like, fuck, man, like I feel like I belong. I feel like I'm in the right place. You have
Inside Out.
Inside Out.
There
Thank
we
you. I feel like you have to have those moments, because I know a lot of people that don't. Thank you. Inside Out. I feel like a lot of people that don't have an open dialogue about how they process things don't have a really solid understanding of how to process things. That sounds really stupid and redundant, but it's like the people that don't know how to take things in are never going to have a really good understanding of how to put them out. We had the card night the other night, and we've talked about this online, we've talked about this offline, but one of the real big things for the shop is it's been one of the slowest seasons we've ever had.
Oh, yeah.
And if it keeps going, we may have to close down the big side. And we've talked about this, and it doesn't feel good, but I mean, it's not that we want to, but realistically, we just moved to online and keep tattooing. That's what it is. But then you have nights like last Saturday where we had all the Magic players here. We had two of the new players that came in, the original boys, Bry, Eric, UG, Prometheus, and all of them, and they brought a friend with them, and their buddy Jesus. And these guys played till almost midnight.
Wow.
And they were just fucking laughing their asses off. I summon for 3 mana. Big dick.
So
I suck with 2 mana. No, I suck with 3 mana. Instant. And you're seeing a bunch of dudes that are different friend groups, different people, and they sit there and they're laughing their asses off. They're talking about shit that me as an individual, I mean, Nathaniel was there too, and he brought out a dragon deck, his brother's deck from the 90s or some shit. So it's a really heavy deck. And then all of a sudden, I see, Nathaniel's going through stuff, the boys are going through their shit, these new guys probably have their own things. And then you just see a bunch of strangers in one room. He pulled out a fucking Sharagoth fucking da-da-da. Fuck that thing. Draw this and suck its dick. And you see this camaraderie that jumps off the card, so to speak. And these guys just jump into it and they have that. That is the upside. We've talked a lot about the death side and the downside of oh man, memories and so forth.
Right.
But look at the upside of it. I hope that one day, if I pass away and all the stuff that's left behind and Sansu's fuck it, it's gone. I hope it finds those kind of groups and people that when they're sitting there amongst a stranger, they're having the time of their lives. It may be a flash in the pan, it may be a new thing, but truth be told, if that is all that it brings, and it's the thing that slowly keeps a place like this going, then you're kind of, like, you're doing what it's intended.
Right.
You're sharing those things, you're growing those things, and it's funny because how many people have read Dune? Like, Star Wars is clearly a
Dune ripoff.
A Dune ripoff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But how much of Dune do you really see people that, like, you're the perfect person to ask. I asked this to somebody else and they couldn't answer it. How many people do you actually believe are into Dune as they are Star Wars? Because I feel people like to say they're into it,
right,
but they're not really
well,
into it.
It's that small minutia of people that have actually seen it. Because I was talking about that with who was I telling that to? I was telling somebody that I want to go back and watch. I think it was Axis. I was talking to him this morning about how I want to go back and watch the original ones from the 80s, because that one is actually parts 1 and 2 all in one,
right,
versus this one that's spread out, and they've changed the story a little bit. I guess they've taken some liberties with some of the characters. I never really saw it. I never really paid attention to it. I saw the remake that came out this last 2 years ago. I think that's how long ago when first Dune came out.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is the kind of sci-fi that I can get behind. I couldn't get behind Rebel Moon.
right.
But I mean, think about the difference in the style of, like, both have a great world. Man, you go no in. Where was I at? Fucked me up. With Rebel Moon, they had this great, incredible world that they were going to be able to explore, but it's just the way that they told the story, it just didn't play out right. Whereas Dune, even though they're taking a little bit of liberties, the way that they're explaining it, the cinematography, the technology, it doesn't feel forced. I guess that's the difference. Like in the if you think about the opening of Dune versus the opening of Rebel Moon, look how much action and shit was shoved down your throat in the first one versus the other one.
Yeah.
You know, it's the difference between and, you know,
You know, it amazes.
It's that fucking Dune popcorn bucket. That's
I'm about
what
to say. Yeah, I'm about to say it amazes me how bad your fucking your comparisons are.
I know,
but I mean, like the Dune popcorn bucket was my point. Is how many people are gonna laugh about that and joke about it to where
it's become a big thing. Like,
it's a huge, it's a huge thing to the point where you see these people making videos of where they're talking about how it's like a woman. She goes, when you see your man buy the Dune Collector's popcorn bucket with extra butter, no popcorn, and then the guy grabs it and like he holds it and she looks at his face and his eyes are the blue. It's a and, you know,
he has that fucking thing in his
it's fucking it's funny as fuck. When you're trying to find your homie after he disappears from refilling his popcorn bucket and they have their sweatshirt strings in their nose, you know, and somebody else goes, man, I miss John Travolta in fucking Battlefield Earth, you know. You see all this amount of people joking and coming together over like the dumbest shit. Right. And I think that's what the beautiful thing about Nerdum is that I feel, and this has just always been my sentiment, because this is how life is, right? Is you're not meant to enjoy everything. No. You're not meant to have everything perfect. You're meant to have moments that tie it together because, you know, every day, if every day was sunshine and no rain, the plants would never get watered.
It's true.
You know what I mean? And so you have to have these moments in collecting and Nerdum where there's just these ebb and flows.
Yeah.
You know, that you can enjoy it, because I feel like with Dune, it's a thing that is making people excited about watching movies again. Marvel sure as fuck ain't doing it.
Oh, no, not at all. And that's the thing is, like, I was just watching this article. I want to say the channel is Emergency Awesome. I think that's the guy. But he was talking about how Bob Iger's been having a lot of these meetings, and that one of the main things that he was talking to all the writers and everybody that was doing all these shows is, like, the quality of Marvel program went downhill because the stories were suffering. And he said the biggest part was the agendas that they were always trying to push, all these narratives that they were trying to push, that they want to go away from that they want to go towards telling stories. But like what we've always argued, it's like he finally listened to the fans. What you and I and all the other conversations that we've had is that, like, we don't mind the inclusion, we don't mind the way that they're trying to create the agenda or whatever it is, like whatever they're trying to push at that time, but just make it make sense, make it be a part of the movie that makes that movie be worth it, versus you're gonna like this because you have to like this because it's the in thing to like right now.
Well, that's the conversation about SNL.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody had brought up this thing about, like, why has Saturday Night Live not been good for the past 10 to 15 years? And this creator's comment was perfect, and they said because of it's the saturation of it.
Mm-hmm.
When SNL was big back in the 90s and 80s, you had an event would happen that week, and then the writers would go and they'd get it done, and then by that Friday or that Saturday, they would already have it ready to go and on the floor before actual live time on Saturday night.
Right.
And then you would be like, oh my God, that's so funny. But you only had 1 to 2 platforms doing that. Now you have an entire fan base, or I should not even say fan base. You have an entire society that revolves around social media,
Mm-hmm.
and they can create anything without having to go through checks and balances, producers and corporate to see if it's PC or if it's not PC.
Well, and that's a funny thing too, because like comedians, you know, like they go out and they talk about the most realist shit in their routines, and that's what tends to be funny. You know, we just gotten to this point in society where being politically correct has started making even some of them have to tailor what they're saying. Like, you'll have your Dave Chappelle's, you'll have your Kevin Hart's, you'll have those that won't stray from their what makes them funny,
right?
But they'll also tailor their humor not to always touch on the touchy subject. Chappelle will stomp all over it.
Well, he can, and that's the point. Is like with what I was saying is it's you can't have something good when everyone else can do it better, quicker, and with no restrictions.
Right.
So we're in a society where nobody has to fucking. You have cosplayers and you have YouTube channels that absolutely can do better renditions of short films
Mm-hmm.
than some studios can do, because why? They don't have to answer to anybody.
Right.
You know, and
and they know the media.
And they know the media.
They know them. They know what they're trying to put out, and they're putting out their pet projects in a way that's like, we know we'll never be getting the offer from the WB or anybody to come make this movie, so let's just make it in our backyard or make it out of Lego or whatever, you know. But like Bat in the Sun, that's a good company right there. Like all the different super beatdowns they used to do over the years, like every single one of those was like, I can't wait till the next one. All funded by themselves. Like they put the money up. They're like, here, look, if you guys want to contribute, this will get us there. And sure enough, the fans showed up, dude. They supported it, and look at the success they got out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. What movie do you think that you personally, and I'm asking anybody in chat, but like, what do you think would be the quintessential movie you would want redone now, if they gave it a great cast and they gave it a great writer and director? Because I feel like they try to remake everything, but it's for profit, right?
Yeah, and
so what would be the thing you would want to see if you knew it was going to be good?
100%. My thought would be the Flash Gordon movie.
Okay.
Only because that was the last and only movie that I can think of, and I think I was talking to Rivers about this, that it's the only movie that's all rock and roll based. Like Queen wrote that soundtrack from start to finish. So if you just listen to that soundtrack alone, it's pretty badass, you know? And so what musicians would they get at this time? Like, I know everybody be like, oh, Jack Black and Tenacious D, because that's that kind of style. It's very loud. It's very Dio in that kind of a sense. But I don't think I would want to see them. I don't know if I'd want anybody like Metallica to deal with anything like that. I would like to see more of a dark metal band, like maybe Lamb of God. Try doing something like that, because I love their music, number one. But I think it would be cool to see a science fiction movie that's done in that kind of a realm, in that kind of a feel for like a musical, because that's essentially what all the science fiction movies are. If you listen to their background, it's all musical, whether it's classical music the way that Star Wars does it, or Flash Gordon doing it with those. But that would be my first pick. Second pick would be Kroll. I would love for them to do something like that, another sci-fi fantasy kind of, because that for me was like the first Lord of the Rings, with magic and spells and that glaive that they called it, the special star. But Flash Gordon would be the first one. I think that would be kind of cool. What about you, my friend?
I'd have to say Island of Dr. Monroe. That one would be.
Look at him.
Yeah.
And look at him.
Yeah.
That part freaked my brother out. I don't know why, but every time I used to say that to my brother, look at him, and he'd be like, "Dude, don't do that."
I feel like if you were to put people behind like Black Mirror, or you were to put even like James Wan, I feel like you would get a really good horror based out of it. Guillermo del Toro would do a fucking phenomenal job.
Would be a great one. The director that did Madam Web, because that was such a horror of a movie.
But yeah, I feel like that would be one for me. Secondly, I would have to go with probably shit. I would love to see Fire in the Sky remade. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, and
the alien
at the end of that
scene, the thing when they're in the room and the sheet going over the mouth. And claustrophobic right there. Yeah. I don't know if I could watch it. I'd be doing it like this.
Well, I know there's a movie called Pandorum that was done really well. For anyone that hasn't seen a good horror movie in a while, check that one out. Good sci-fi horror. Dennis Quaid, is it? That it's in it as well, and it's almost like a answer to Event Horizon.
Oh yeah,
like Event Horizon,
dude,
that's
a good. Oh, that's a good one.
Fucking Baby Bear.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, man, I think about all these movies, right? Like if they were to be remade and what it is, but is it the same? Like Last Action Hero, Falling Down.
Falling Down, that would be a good one to see. Like,
I mean, it's everybody today's religion.
Pretty much.
But is it also a product of that time? Like,
100%.
What? I don't think you could watch Last Action Hero now, because it's basically Detective Pikachu. It's Roger Rabbit. It's all these things that are done.
Which I didn't know that the guy Robert Patrick, he after he did T2, I guess there's a whole bunch of other movies that he cameoed in where he was the T2 and he showed up. And he would always be like, "Have you seen this boy?" Like he did it in Wayne's World 2.
Yep.
There was another one in Last Action Hero when they're going. He's like, "Hey Jack, did you see that?" And you turn him and like he just walks by him. I think it was a coffee shop or something like that. I can't remember the scene, but yeah, there's like I never caught that before. And my mom was watching a show, Reacher.
Yeah.
And he's in there, and I think there was a reference because I was like, "Did he just reference T2?" Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel that part of what has made cinema a great thing was how fantastical things could be and how adventurous. Like, here's a really good movie that I don't think a lot of people really talk about too much anymore, but Patch Adams.
Oh man,
that
was a great movie.
That's a great and a very sad movie, and how dynamic Robin Williams was in that movie. The hard part about it is that it's a movie about hope for the hopeless, right? And it's not that anyone is actually like in despair. We're not talking the Piano Man. We're talking about people that are just day to day and like life is what it is, and then it goes and does its own thing. So, I don't know. I feel like you can make movies, but it takes the right actor in the right time. When you look at Patch Adams, you look at not just the way it was done, but the way it was filmed. Here's another movie that nobody fucking asked for, but we got Flubber. You know?
Oh yeah,
Flubber was.
Yeah, remember that was a time when Disney was remaking all of their old, like the Shaggy DA, Tim Allen. You know what I mean? Like a lawyer that turns into a dog. You know what I mean? Like they don't make movies like that anymore because that trope has been played out, and how long until we start to see that again? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like we're losing it with superhero stuff. Like even in my honest opinion, I feel like superhero stuff is gonna go the way of the dinosaur for a lot of people besides the diehards, because there's too much of a saturation.
Yeah, I think it really needs to. It just needs to go back down to when it was like one or two movies that we all looked forward to, because there were all these other great movies that you'd wanted to go see anyways. But again, like you said, all that's come out in the last 4 years and since COVID has been nothing but superheroes, because they figured at that time, before we went into lockdown, the last great hurrah they had was Endgame.
Yeah.
And that brought all the seats, that put everybody there, and then all of a sudden that following year everybody's in lockdown, they couldn't go to the movies anymore, and then the movie experience has changed. Now it's like new movies, you can rent them on fucking Prime. You don't even have to go to the theaters. You might pay $80, but you're able to watch that brand new movie right then and there.
Yeah, and I mean one of my favorite movies that I'd seen a while back was Guns Akimbo. That was a great one with Daniel Radcliffe, where he is heckling somebody and he's basically trolling somebody online. It turns out to be a drug lord.
Oh, shit.
And then they staple guns to his hand and then put a bounty on him as he has to go around town. It's Smoking Aces meets Hotel Artemis. Okay. It is phenomenally done. But it's same thing when he did Horns. Like, I like to see the art films that give you imagination. Then you have your musicals. You have like Across the Universe, which was the Beatles one.
I did dig that movie.
That was a great one.
Yeah.
My dad hated the shit out of that movie. That motherfucker was like, because I asked him, I go, what's your favorite Beatles song? And he goes, I Am the Walrus. I go, really? Why? And he goes,
Cuckoo Cachoo.
Yeah. And well, for him, it was like, you just get fucking high and listen to it.
Yeah.
And then I showed him the movie, and he goes, man, fucking it's whatever. And I go, how about if we get you high, old man? God damn it. But, you have those, and I want to see apocalyptic movies come back. I want to see certain things come back in a way that make you feel like, what if, what's there, what's out there. But
well, that movie that I watched last week, I was recommending Immortal Engines.
Oh yeah,
that was again, it's like that post-apocalyptic world, and how these are mobile cities that are just going around and consuming other cities and using all their resources to be able to power up theirs. And it was cool, like the technology that they were using. But I am pumped for Fallout TV series.
Let's talk about that. Oh my God! When is that coming out?
I believe it's next month. It's in April. The rumor is it's taking place in LA. So it's going to deal with the NCR. They're trying to timestamp where this situation happens, because it does happen in LA. It's partially between Fallout 3, New Vegas, and Fallout 4. Like somehow it connects in that whole timeline. But they've put up a couple of like headers, or I don't know what you would call them, like little advertisements, promos. There you go. And dude, I
just saw these ones right here.
Yes,
which was like tremendously done, and the person that did them is my boy. Shout out to my dude, Paul Shipper.
Oh shit,
Paul Shipper is the guy who took over for Juice Juzan, and I know his stuff anywhere. And yeah, if anybody wants to know about the Fallout promo stuff, who did the art? Paul is I know we are supposed to talk soon on the Brushes of Doom podcast, but I'll throw a link up later on the Brushes of Doom page for that interview if anybody wants to check it out, because his story is crazy about like how he has to create half of these posters,
Wow.
And yeah, dude, it looks fun. I mean, I think there's going to be a huge resurgence for a lot of this.
Well, they said I guess they're going to be doing a download. There's going to be a DLC that's supposed to come out for PS5, PC. It might be for 4. I didn't see anything for it because I was like, well, this means I'm going to have to buy a 5 now.
Spock asks, Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 4, which one do you like?
Honestly, 4. That's the one I've spent the most time in. Like, yeah, matter of fact, I'm replaying a new character right now. I just restarted because I found this channel where this guy is showing all the things that you missed, or like the best way to do your first loadout in Fallout, how to come right out of the vault, and the first 5 places you need to go right away, and you'll have like super stats. You'll get yourself a bobblehead, so that can increase your what am I thinking of?
VATS?
Not the VATS. It's your
intelligence.
Yeah, it's all that. Your
specs.
Your specs. Yeah, your special basically. And then I've been seeing these guys that are doing speed runs, and like how but you can only do a lot of these on PC, and so they're recording them. They're showing like how they have to record it, and like how they take out for load times and things like that. But there's a guy that's done a record of like 5 minutes through the game, and he just super glitches his way into the Institute, and I'm like, how do these guys have enough time to figure this out? I'm too busy stuck like with freaking Preston telling me like another settlement needs our help, so we got to go do it. And it's like, fuck
Preston,
you, dude. God damn it,
Preston Garvey, you piece of shit.
I just give him a gun and put on armor. I'm like, okay, let's go handle that business, and then that's it, dude. He's in tow for the next 20 hours.
So Spock had brought up a good point, and that's where I want to ask this question. He goes, in regards to video game TV shows, Halo Fall of Reach sucked, but the episode after was good. People really fucking hate the Halo TV show because of what they've done with it. What do you think could be absolutely like the worst thing they could do to fuck up Fallout for you as an active player?
It can't look cheesy, and I mean that by like, this better not feel like season 5 of The Walking Dead. I'll give you an example. I think that's the season I remember. It's like, it starts off with instantly, not Carl, fucking the main guy. I can't even think of his name right now.
Oh,
Rick. He comes in and he's just boom, boom, boom. But the way he's acting, it's very much like, I got this. You know what I mean? And it felt very like too rehearsed.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm hoping that this doesn't feel, because again, when you're looking at power armor suits, how well is that going to translate in real time? Because we've never seen this before. You know what I mean? Like, are they using practical suits when they're doing this stuff with the actors, or is this CGI stuff? And if it's CGI, is that going to take away from the coolness of being in power armor? Because those are key things. You know, it's like, can't mess with the worlds. The worlds have to feel like they're fucked up. You gotta feel that sense of dreariness, because that's what those games felt like. You know, I remember Fallout 3, my first experience, when it took me 30 minutes to figure out how to get out of the vault, and I finally get out, and I remember like, I didn't know what to do. All I could do was like go find some cover. I think I found a back of a trailer in a truck, and I'm like, I VATS because I saw something in the distance and it was some raiders, and I'm like, maybe if I go hide over there, I'll be safe. So I scurried over there and ducked down, and by the time I got over there and ducked down, raiders had already showed up. I had a baton and a 10 millimeter and 5 rounds of ammo, and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna survive, and I died right then and there. And it was like, okay, this is what this game is like. So it's got to feel like there's a sense of like survival going on. It's got to feel like there's a reason that you want to watch it, like you want to get attached to these characters, because again, people that don't know the game, what's going to be the draw to get them to want to watch this show?
I feel like it's going to be like the Watchmen TV show, where they're going to play you a fucking, if they're going, all right, I'll have to ask you, what song has to play on the show for you to really be like, it's Fallout?
It has to be I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, because that's the first thing. First of all, it has to have what's his name's voice from Hellboy, Ron Perlman.
Yeah. War
never changes. Yeah. Since the dawn of man. Like it needs to start off that way so that it gives you that feeling, because that's what I remember of Fallout 3. And then when it opens up and you see the subway, the bus station, and everything that you're in, and the city's just torn to pieces, and it comes into that radio. You know, like that to me is like, I need to hear that song. I need to hear The Wanderer when they're walking around. What's the Butcher's Pete?
Yeah, that's
Butcher's Pete. Yeah,
that's all. That's the only one I need to hear.
Chopping his meat.
Fuck every other song. All I want to see is a dude walking down the way and he's whacking that meat.
Yep.
Butcher Pete. Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I feel that that's the thing, is that they're gonna have to do it in the sense of like, they have to go the way of The Boys, where everything just exists, and they're gonna make references, they're gonna do things. You have to, like, I like the fact that they chose the actor they did for the Ghoul, and that he has a very Preston vibe to him. You know, everything about him, or Nick Valentine, I should say.
Yeah.
And you know, just I feel like they're gonna make a lot of nods to certain things, and I feel that if you're going to go that route, for any video game, all you have to do is add in solid source material with solid respect for the thing.
Absolutely.
Because here's the thing, like Spock had asked, you know, he goes in, remember Doom the movie, at the end when the first person shooter perspective happened, what did you think of that? And what's going on, No Name? For me, I like the Doom movies.
What's that movie that guy? It's all shot in first person perspective, and it's like a spy movie.
Yeah, Hardcore Henry.
Fucking
one of the best.
Oh my
movies.
God, dude!
One of my favorite things about Hardcore Henry was a tremendous fucking movie for just such a niche type of crowd, but I loved how what's his face kept going in the different bodies, and they find him in the building, and he goes, you have to shoot. It's the World War I clone, and he goes, you have to shoot for the fucking head, mate. Shoot between the eyes, and his fucking hand just goes. Like, it's such, and then they end it with Queen, Don't Stop Me Now.
Right.
So, one of my favorite scenes is when they're in the brothel, and it's the 70s cokehead, and they start firing on it, and he just takes the bag of coke from his underwear, shoves it in his nose, and he goes, "The floor is fucking lava, mate. This is war," and this dives. Like, what a great concept for what it was, and how crazy they made it. Everything, like, that was a video game.
And you know the other video game, I don't know, did you ever see it, Far Cry?
Yeah, of course.
That live action movie they did of that one, I thought they did a tremendous job with that one. I can't remember who the director is, but he had done something else like right around that time, and it was like, dude, nobody gave that movie any shot. It was like a direct to DVD, direct to release kind of thing,
and that's what I mean. It's like when Doom came out with movies with The Rock and Carl Urban.
Oh, that's right. What's his name wants to do Gears of War? Drax, Batista.
Boy, I mean, he would be perfect for that.
Please.
And you would actually have to add in what's his fucking face? John DiMaggio, fucking Bender.
Oh yeah,
he's the actual voice
yeah.
for Phoenix. And I feel like, again, you would have to have those guys in those movies because of their stature. But like for Doom, I mean, long life Doom guy. I remember playing that shit, and so my mom used to work at a place called Rio Farms.
Okay.
To go back, the year is 1995. But exactly, fucking.
That's our time travel sounds.
Kid and Play is starting to play.
Ayo.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all Kid Cross, help. But my mom would clean the offices on the weekends for extra money. So she would go and do that, and I would just get bored. So I was like, fuck it. So I went to one of the offices on the side, and I was like, holy fuck, dude. They have games, and they had solitaire. And I was like, this is the best thing ever, because I had never really been around a computer. Right. And then all of a sudden, I just saw a thing that said Doom. And I was like, fuck it, I'll click it. And then it was very simple. Directional, and then A and S or some shit, and spacebar. And I remember playing that and being like, holy fuck, that's dope. And then they had the private bathroom for the other two guys, and there was a bunch of nudie mags. And, well, this is the best day ever!
Fucking
God.
those are hustlers and penthouses.
Yeah, I'm on, where's the Jessica Rabbit? They said there was a Jessica Rabbit. Where's Marge Simpson?
The club.
Yeah, please.
Club magazine.
Marge Simpson, please.
Shit, I remember one time my brother's godmother had found her godson, my godbrother, his stash, and so we were in his room, and she came up there because she was making fun of him. She's like, "Oh, you trying to show your boys your penthouse up here in your new room? Are you gonna take them by the club?"
Yeah. Oh wow. So I remember playing it on there, and I was like, "This is the best thing ever." But I never got too deep into the lore of Doom. Never.
Right.
My mom would never have bought me that.
That's the devil.
Well, shit, she was the devil. She's like, nothing is greater than me. Fucking big.
I will not let you play a video game where you're going to defeat me in the end.
Listen here, Poon Slayer. You know what I mean? No one supersedes fucking the big back bitch. I'm all, God damn it. Oh,
the Poon Slayer.
Yeah, exactly. There's a
Poon Slayer wins.
There's
fatality.
There's a goddamn name for this week. But, I remember going through that, and so when I watched the actual movie, I had no expectations for it, and I'm a person that I loved that all those like really weird direct to DVD movies. One of the ones that people shit on all the time, and I still watch it. It's dog shit, but it's my dog shit. Ghost of Mars with fucking Ice Cube.
Yeah.
And then it's just a guy that's white. And a ghost fucking pops out. It's the same premise of what happens in Doom. I just like the fact that they're in space, that there's fucking monsters, and they absolutely have to fucking go for it. There's a difference between horror and there's a difference between action.
See, and that's why I like Aliens, the second one.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like that. It's that same thing. It's you got a team of space marines. Like now they're going back to the planet. You know what I mean? And like they've got all the firepower. They got all this stuff. But they still can't defeat it. Like that thing is still creepy as all fuck, and it's still like the first movie is a horror movie in my opinion.
Absolutely,
it's like it's not a sci-fi like Star Wars. Pew pew pew. No, that is a straight horror movie, dude. Like,
right.
So,
well, I mean, the other thing too is I feel when I was watching Doom, the live action movie, the entire time it's Carl Urban and The Rock when The Rock still had hair. And it's like, we get the mission done. Who's that? Oh, man, I'd fuck her so bad. And it's like, that's my sister. My bad, bro. Like, there was a really weird shittiness to it that did work. Ghost of Mars did work. Damn, girl, I like you already. And then he just knocks the fuck out of her. And you're just like, it's so 90s.
Right.
It's so 2000s where all you need is Fat Boy saying boom, boom, chicka boom, 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 chicka boom, boom. Ghost ship. At the end, stand alone. And you're like, oh my God. Everything at the end was like what's his name that did the Transformers movies?
Oh God. It was always
James
Lincoln. It was
No, that's not James Cameron. It's
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay, yeah.
But it was always Linkin Park.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking
the one time that the Foo Fighters were the hero. We could be heroes. Is that or no, is that them? I don't know.
Something. I don't know. I listen to good music.
Yeah, that's right.
And so when you see those movies, there's a charm to it. When they did the first person, I thought it was such a cool thing personally because it was an homage of like all they did was that one thing, and it was a nod to people of like, you remember this? And I feel like that sometimes that is more than enough for someone like me.
Well, think about Mortal Kombat.
I was about to say
Reptile.
that and Double Dragon.
Yeah. So the Mortal Kombat when that scene happened, like everybody that's anybody that's played that knows the code in order to make that happen. And then to hear the voice go reptile, and then you see him. You're like, what the fuck? I remember all my friends and I. We were like, we stood up, dude. I mean, we all like cheered. Oh my God, you would have hated us. You're like, I'm fucking leaving you fags.
Yeah, listen here.
You're like,
gay boys.
Later, gay boys. Because that's about the age you were.
I mean, here's the thing. When Mortal Kombat came out, I remember
was like 95. Yeah.
Well, I remember being in the stands, and this is what you hear. And just the voice.
Yep. Hope this doesn't get us blocked.
No, I'm talking over. If you talk over something,
Right.
sporadically.
Okay.
Look at that. I want to start fucking shifting my fat ass down the fucking walkway. Watch me shimmy my way up. I want to burn 10,000 steps.
He's Scorpion.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Fuck it. That's what it feels like with a small stinger. But when I saw that in theaters, I was like, holy fuck, dude.
Fucking Goro.
Everything about that. And, you know, Street Fighter, I've never have been and I never will be into Street Fighter.
Street Fighter didn't, when that movie came out, it didn't have the same impact that I think that it did. The only thing I remember from that is when the van is coming at them and they're watching on the TV and fucking Zangief's like, quick, change the channel. And it was like, that's not going to change the situation with such a stupid line, but it was so good. Like
that, and then I remember the Jackie Chan one where he plays the female.
Yeah.
And he's Chun-Li, and he just keeps getting fucked up, and he's like, what the fuck? But I mean, like Double Dragon.
Oh,
that one was such a great, terrible movie. And I feel, again, like when they made those movies, you couldn't make them today without it having the same thing. When Mortal Kombat 2 came out, and it was like, and now you shall die. And it's like so over the top.
Your soul is mine.
I mean, there's a big reason why one of my favorite movies of all time is Mystery Men. Mystery Men to this day is such a great, like, that was the Avengers before the Avengers.
Yes,
That was the Justice League before the Justice League.
That was Outlander before Outlander.
Yeah, when you had the Shoveler.
Yeah,
you know, you have Dane Cook in there. You have fucking
Pee Wee Herman as the spleen.
Yeah, he's like, cut the cheese and I was forever to cook your pasta. And cut the cheese.
Oh, fucking Janine Garofalo, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man, her
arguing with her dad.
In the
You're embarrassing me in front of my friends. Is it Kel Mitchell?
Yes.
As the invisible guy.
Yeah.
I turn invisible but you can't look at me.
Yeah.
And then what's his face?
Blue Raja with the fork. Oh,
yeah.
Hank Azaria.
He's like, I am the. What's up with the British accent? What? I'm workshopping it. What is his name? Fuck. Oh my God. The famous musician. He was their Q. They're the guy that made everything.
Oh shit! I'd forgot about that.
Yeah.
I need to watch that movie. I just remember.
Remember he did Poison in Shrek, and he played the devil in the last movie. What was it? Dr. Parnassus's Magical Emporium.
Let me look up his.
But let's see. What is Mystery Men? Says No Name Collects. So Mystery Men was this movie,
1999 film.
Yes.
Comedy action starring Ben Stiller.
Yeah,
it was Mr. Furious.
Mr. Furious.
You had Janine Garofalo as Carol what was it?
The Bowler?
Carol the Bowler, something like that, yeah. And then there was Pee Wee Herman's character, the Spleen. Greg Kinnear played Captain, I think he was like a Captain.
Captain Amazing.
Captain Amazing, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Who else? They have William H. Macy. He was the Shoveler.
Yes. Phenomenal.
And
he had a black family. His kids were black and his wife was black, and he's like, I got to do what's right for my family. You best get back in this car. And he was like, sorry boys. Flips the shovel, puts it on his back, and he goes, duty calls.
There's Tom Waits.
So
he plays Dr. A. Heller.
Yes.
I don't remember that.
So he was the one when they go to the abandoned amusement park, and he shows them non-lethal weapons.
Oh, right. Okay.
Who was the actor that played Victor Frankenstein?
Victor Frankenstein.
Or is it Casanova Frankenstein?
Oh, that was Jeffrey Rush.
Yes, they go.
Yeah.
Where one of the Eddie Izzard and I forget the other gentleman, but they are the Disco Boys. And they go like, he's like, we are downtown with the disco. Your thing was only 10 years old. Well, you look less than 10 years old. And it's like the worst writing, right? And then immediately when what was the actor's name that played Casanova Frankenstein?
Jeffrey Rush.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Rush is fighting the Shoveler, and he has a coke nail. But it's a titanium death claw is what they call it, and he goes, I use it for things, and they have to insinuate because
Right,
again
right.
they knew their market were the
Right.
kids and adults, and he comes over and the shoveler goes, "Let's go," and he goes, and like, but he's rolling on a thing, so he doesn't actually walk; he glides. And I remember that was one of my very first times comprehending in a movie that looked very fun, because all the villains come to see their Superman die, and he actually dies because the Mystery Men kill him on accident. And it's like the most fucked up thing, and I was like, what the fuck? But such an interesting movie that was based off of all this type of shit that the 80s and 90s can produce. And I think the reason why the new generation couldn't really appreciate it is because the neon neo-technica of it is there.
Yeah.
A video game movie I would love to see, two of them would be Death Stranding. Would be a tremendous one just on the palette alone that I think Amazon could handle, or HBO.
Right.
But Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk 2077, I would love to see how they could take that, because you could use a Mystery Men-esque type of world, and you could use a Blade Runner type of world, but you would have to have it directed by Sim-Koo Kwan and all the guys who did Snowpiercer, all the Korean dramas.
Right. Yeah.
When they get somebody who is a fighter, they're real fucking martial artists that are going to go, and the blade arms, everything. So I feel like, again, if you're going to tell a Fallout story, it has to be from the point of view of an American.
Yeah.
If you're going to tell a Cyberpunk, you're going to have to do it from a Japanese or a Korean background about America, because that's how it takes place, you know?
Isn't that similar to what Ready Player One?
In a way.
Yeah, because like it kind of feels, because again, like talking about Avengers Twilight earlier, that's when you started describing Cyberpunk and this world. It's like that's kind of what Twilight Avengers, the world feels like, because it is this futuristic world where everything that we see and we know is not everything that's happening. So like it's basically what the government does. You know, the government only owns everything, all the TVs, all the shows. It's all controlled. When they put out an advertisement, it all goes out to everybody. They have to watch it.
Yeah.
It's like mandatory kind of thing. And so even in this world, it's like when Captain America and all the other heroes, because basically the heroes are no longer existent. Everybody that was a hero on H-Day, because apparently Hulk went mad, caused a big thing. A lot of people died. And after that, the trust in heroes was no longer there.
Right.
Because they weren't there to stop what happened. And so because of that, now they have this new society where basically the Starks, he's in control. James Stark is in control, and all the government controls everything. The corporations control everything. And yeah, so it's interesting how in this world, like the freedoms that Cap tries to help bring the underground and bring it back out, and like, dude, you guys are stuck being fed this world that you don't even really know that you don't have the freedoms that you think you do.
Right.
Like you might feel free, but you're not free. And so even after he does his great speech, like he's always known for, the message just kind of gets missed.
Well,
So.
again, I feel like what creates good writing and good content and context for stuff is like when Cyberpunk came out, I absolutely loved it. I was very lucky that the game only crashed on me a few times, but I could play the game, and a lot of people couldn't. And then they took it off the store, and you couldn't get it anymore. And I was like, "Fuck, dude! I it's like Flappy Bird. I fucking have it. Thank God." But then the anime came out, and it was just fucking amazing. And then playership went way up. Fallout is going to have such a resurgence with people that aren't normally playing it, or people that have missed it for a while. And I feel like that is where you see something like we've talked about it before, but Helldivers. A lot of people are enjoying the shit out of the game because it mimics so much of what Starship Troopers kind of resembles.
And the only other game that I've ever played that's similar to like a Starship Troopers shoot 'em up is EDF, or Earth Defense Force. That game was fun because you would go and fight tons and tons of monsters, and so that's kind of what when I heard and seen what Helldivers has been about, like, to me, that seems like it would be a great, fun game to get into. And, like, I don't have a PC, so.
For what?
Did you have to have a PC for this game, Helldivers 2?
No, it's on PlayStation.
Motherfuck.
Yeah. And Raul, one of my old coworkers, just got it with him and his son, and he was like, "Do I buy this or do I?" Because he wanted to get the new DLC for Dark Souls or whatever the fuck those games are, and then or this, and I was like, "Democracy, son." And it's funny because you're seeing so many people act out, like, for democracy, for this, for that, and they're really getting into character, and they find a genuine amount of fun. Where, again, like we were talking earlier with the Magic players last weekend. Mm-hmm. They share one thing in common outside of nerdom, and it's a love for said nerdoms. And that love is not just a normal love, it's a passion. So when they start talking amongst each other, it's like, I draw 2 white mana to suck that dick. I instant counter it, and I jerk it off. You know, I slap both of you in the face with the red mana. And it's like, you're sitting there and you're like, just please buy cards. Yeah. That's all I care. Just keep my lights on, please. But like then you see with Helldivers, and you see with Fallout, and you see with Cyberpunk, people love these fandoms, and they get special to however they feel about it, from the soundtracks to the cast to the movies, whatever, that it resurges to people playing it to want to go more. I feel like if you could put people who absolutely give a shit about these games into the world of not streaming so much, but as of like long format TV shows, you're going to get people who passionately get back into games and push that want more. I would love to see somebody make a movie about Bloodborne. I would absolutely, or not a movie, but a series about Bloodborne, and do a really Lovecrafting eldritch horror thing that would rival something in the lines of Van Helsing. There's a movie a lot of people shit on with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
I fucking loved it. You know, where it's like, first and foremost, I love anything Universal Monsters, right? But True. The idea of like, I'm a fucking 3 vampire women that are my wife, blah, blah, and then they fucking kill one of the women, or one of his wives, and he's all, no, my wife, you Van Helsing, damn you. Like, it is so fucking stupid. And Hugh Jackman, before he's really
well, I think it was after he had done
Wolverine 2.
Yeah,
so this is before he's like super jacked, a huge jacked man,
right?
And
before he started doing musicals, and
well, I mean, yeah, good for him, you know.
The Bustler's wife, or the Butler's wife. What was that other one that he did?
The Buttfuckers Strife, or something.
Society.
Yeah, the Buttfucker Strife. But before he got into all that, I mean, in general, like, it was such a bad good movie. And League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, another movie that I absolutely loved. I feel like if you're going to jump into things, you have to have people who are fantastical in their imagination create these formats, because if you don't, then it's just not going to work. I saw it earlier that Spock had said in chat, but Gremlins.
Oh, see, they got a new one coming out. Yeah, I think it's this year. Finally, this year it's supposed to be released.
It came out in what year?
83, I want to say. I think it was like 2nd or 3rd grade when I remember that one coming out.
And when did you go see it?
When it came out in theaters.
What was your experience? Because here's the thing: first question, is Gremlins a Christmas movie?
Oh yeah, 100%.
See, I don't see it as a Christmas movie, but I absolutely agree why it should be.
Well, because it is a Christmas movie. Well, it happens because it's during Christmas time. They're around the tree.
I always consider Christmas having to do with Santa or Krampus.
Okay,
but I agree that it is a Christmas movie.
Well, it's the same way you could say Spider-Man 2. Was it Spider-Man 2 or the first one? No, it's the second one, when with Tobey Maguire. It's like, it's a Thanksgiving movie because they're having Thanksgiving dinner on that, so it's considered a holiday movie. It's like one of those things.
I mean, he could have just been having a fancy dinner. Oh no, because he was at Stacy's house, huh?
Oh yeah. No, it was at Stacy's.
Yeah, because he couldn't agree with the dad.
Right.
Okay, so my thing is, when you went to go watch it as a child, what was your first impression of Gremlins?
I was trying to convince my dad to go to China to bring me back a Mogwai, dude. And I was going to feed it after midnight.
Yeah, if you're going to abandon me at Mesa, at least make it look cool.
Make it look cool, yeah.
And leave the fucking toothbrush behind.
Please, you have to make up for the fucking Ewok Kiko-Man incident, all right? So because I'm still fucking eating shit for that one, you know. I have an Ewok, and then you bring me this fucking French poodle with a blue ribbon in his hair. God damn it! Made me so mad that day.
But what was your first impression when you really like?
Oh, dude, I loved it. It was great because again, it was like Mogwai or what's the name? Fucking, I can't even think. Gizmo. Just how they made him. It was like a furry fucking Yoda, basically. And then at one point, when he's having to fight all the bad ones, and they're in I think they're in a mall or in a Kmart or something like that, and he's driving around on the in a pink Barbie Corvette, and they're doing like voiceovers of him like pretending to be a superhero, a secret agent or something like that. Just little things like that, because again, to me, it was connecting to the stuff that was visible in our lives. You know what I mean? But yeah,
I forget. Put your hands like that. You have to show the camera.
Oh, let's see, like that. Bing, bing.
Yeah, I tend to forget that this happens during the pod because on the
a
Brushes of Doom one, the guy,
Bing.
one of the guys who absolutely does not fucking do that at all. He kept doing this and he kept doing these bright
Bing.
bubbles. But
I don't know if it'll do it now.
yeah, like Gremlins. I feel like you could make it now because Gen X and millennials.
Certainly.
Gen X and millennials absolutely will watch anything that's nostalgia driven, right? But like Cobra, fucking Stallone Cobra.
See, and those are movies that I wish that they would do, because like, what movies have they been doing? Like ever since Statham was doing those movies for a while. Was the one where he had to keep his heart adrenaline?
Oh, the transporter. Crank.
Oh, like all those. Like, what happened to those kinds of characters? Now you don't really see that anymore. Like, if it's anybody doing that, it's a superhero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even James Bond movies. When's the last time they had a real good James Bond movie? It's like, I can't think of one. And again, because it's like
that and Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
I can't get into them anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying they're not
great. Yeah, like every one that he puts out, all the stunts that he does, it's cool, and that's you know.
They gave us Henry Cavill fucking lock and loading his arms. He's like,
oh, dude, I don't know why, but that looks fucking cool, dude.
And every dude's like, I don't know, I'm straight as fuck, but that's hot, bro. Yeah. What? Nothing.
I want Cavill to.
Yeah, with your
hold my, and then do it.
Yeah, with
what?
With the Dune popcorn bucket. You
his eyes turn blue.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like if you're really going to make a movie or a show based off a video game whatsoever, you have to have a humor about it. Even dark shit. Like, what was one of the biggest things that made The Last of Us work for a lot of people was it tried to stay as close to the source material as possible. Nobody liked Ellie, the actress who played her, and then once you watched her, she fucking nailed it pretty solid. But then you think about things where, like, for myself, if I were to see a game be made into a show, I would love to see a Ghost of Tsushima.
I was just thinking about that because I've been watching the Shogun series on Hulu. 100% recommendation on that one. Like, my mom and I was sitting down there watching that, and even she's just like, dude, I don't remember the show when it originally came out being this good. And I'm like, of course not, because the writing is way better. The actors, everybody that they've gotten to play these actors and actresses, phenomenal. They nail their roles. And then, like, the idea that it's in the 1600s, everything to, like, the ships, to their clothing, to everything about it, like, the attention to detail is just so spot on. It just makes you feel like you're there. Like, I'm even putting on my fucking bathrobe, and I'll wear it, tie my hair back, put up the ponytail a little bit higher, carry my fake samurai sword from my Deadpool costume in there, and sit and watch it, arms folded, like, because that show is fucking dope.
I want to see if it does it.
It won't.
It probably
But
will. Yeah,
but Ghost of Tsushima, is that how you say it?
Tsushima.
Tsushima.
Suit. TSU.
Oh, Tsushima.
Tsushima. Yeah. Jin Sakai, dude. I mean, they took a lot of liberties with it, but if you've ever watched Marco Polo on Netflix, where they had Benedict Wong, and he plays Khan, the Great Khan, and he does a phenomenal fucking job, dude. He's brutal as fuck. And I feel like if you were going to do a Ghost of Tsushima, you have a lot of strong storytelling, but you have a way that can be shot in the way that is done.
Right.
and you could bring it to life, because you see a lot of animes that are being put into live action. The Avatar anime that's come out, we talked about this a while back on one of the other pods, but well, actually that was last week.
And
how I said I'm trying to be more positive about the anime, the Avatar: The Last Airbender. They had some special moments, but to me it's not what makes that show great. But for people that don't know the source material of how great Avatar: The Last Airbender is as an American anime, I hope it encourages them to go back and read the source material, in this case watch,
right,
and be inspired to where you're like, holy shit, this is rad. I feel that that's what you could do with a lot of things, because a lot of the live adaptation like Sweet Home or Spy X Family, or even like the One Piece, where some people like it, they don't, whatever it is. My opinion is you want to see things made that have loyalty to the brand, but a DP, a director of photography, that has the vision, that's played the games.
There just needs to be a level of authenticity that just hits the mark. There cannot be any reason to go below that standard. And when they start making compromises, which normally most compromises when you're doing a show, I can imagine is going to be technical stuff. Like, how do you make from Last Airbender, how do you make an Appa, whatever it is, Appa. Yep. Like, how do you make that in live action and make it feel like it's there? How do you do that in a way that you're going to use practical effects, but you also have to use special effects and not come off as cheesy? Like,
absolutely.
Like when you think about in the 80s, Never Ending Story.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi. The dragon, your Jabba the Hutts, all of those were creature-made Jim Henson or some Muppet house that was done so that creature felt real. And when the actor interacted with it, it was like another person.
And that's my point, is like it's the emotion that you believe, not the actual like the practicality of it. Because here's the thing. People fucking love the shit out of the Dark Castle, and they love the shit, or Dark Crystal. I'm sorry,
right?
And they love the shit out of Alf, And you're having these things that they're inanimate objects that you believe. People get so tied over the emotion over a Muppet like Kermit or Gonzo.
Watch out for Kermit on Omegle.
Yeah, right. He's a guy. Yeah. Oh.
Hey,
but I
what
mean,
you got there?
Yeah, but I feel like because you have that, like in my opinion, if you had a really big practical effect version of Appa that look like, you could tell it's not real, but it's supposed to be taken. People watch fucking Wilfred. Okay, and it's a guy in a dog suit. And it's like, oh, he's a dog. He's like, this is bad.
Great show, though.
Fuck Bez. But like the point is,
played
like
an H there. There's no H in this song.
When I think about what happened in Avatar that meant the most with Appa is when somebody steals him. Did you ever watch the actual? Okay,
no.
So somebody had asked earlier, like, can you consider Avatar an anime? And I say, yeah, absolutely. It's a Western version of anime.
Right.
Look at Cyberpunk. It is absolutely an anime, but it is not a Japanese-made thing. It's the same way of like, can you consider anything a cartoon? Yes, but is it a cartoon real or is it an animation? They're both in the same wheelhouse. The reason I say that is because it follows everything from the format of how somebody creates it, they draw it, they animate it, and then they fluidly tell a story. I wouldn't consider Fairly Odd Parents an anime, but I would consider, because of the not just the Butch Hardman style, but also because of his storytelling. But Avatar absolutely is. When they steal Appa, these sand earthbenders that can bend sand, one of the younger sons tries to sell it, so he sells Appa to some other guy, like basically like an animal trader,
right? Because
he wants money for his clan and himself. And Aang, who is a peaceful person, like he is a pacifist at all fucking points, has this moment where he's like, where is my bison? And then Toph, who is an earthbender that is blind, she recognizes the voice of the guy. And she goes, it was him. And the guy's like, now the guy's being accused. He's
Right.
like, he's lying. This guy doesn't know anything. And then Aang goes, you will give him to me. And then his eyes start glowing, his arrow starts glowing.
Ooh,
and then
shit.
the father goes, what did you do? And the son's like, I didn't do anything. And he goes, you will give him to me. And he starts blowing up their sand ships. And then it comes to this point where he starts lifting off the ground, and the previous states of every life he's ever lived, you can hear it because they stack the voices. But it's basically every avatar that ever has existed, they activate that state. And he goes, give me back Appa. And as he lifts, he goes, and everyone's scared to shit because now you have a kid who has no absolute control of this power, but his love is what activates it, right? As every trope in every fucking comic book or thing is like emotion is the heaviest thing that fucking brings it out. And then everyone's about to freak out because he's going to kill everybody. And Katara comes up, grabs his hand, and she hugs him, and he just starts crying. That is hard because it's real.
That is
it's absolutely real. And if that is such a trope, why don't more people who create these animes, these games, or these adaptions use that one thing, which is the emotion? They try to make you laugh, and they think that's emotion. They try to make you cry. That's emotion. No, it's sincerity of the depth of that emotion.
And the only other time that I can think about, like when you explain that scene, that I can remember that's close to that is in Christmas Story.
Yeah.
When he's beating up the bully. And he's just fucking raining down all those punches, and he's like, you no good, ringer ram. And then like his friend is like, dude, your mom's coming. You know, and then the mom's like, you know, Ralphie, what are you doing? And she stops him, and then she pulls him off him, and she looks at him, and she stops him. And then he has that moment, he's just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And then he loses it. And it's like, you know, he feels bad for what he just did. You know what I mean? It's like he was doing it because he got pushed to that point. You know what I mean? Like, love activated it.
And I feel like that's where you have these moments of genuineness in writing where I feel like you can quantify love.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think so? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Mathematically, can you quantify love?
I mean, everything's a number at this point, so yeah.
I believe you can. You know,
I only love you 30% this week is what my mom would say. You know,
yeah, and you know that's crazy because you're a bitch 99% of the time.
I fucking don't give a shit.
But you know, I feel like the other thing too is I believe because I mean think of it this way: sugar, spice,
everything nice,
and a chemical X.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but you know, what I'm saying like you can quantify love as like. To me, if I'm writing and I'm trying to write a scene like the Appa one of where it happens and you're looking at what true emotion truly is, you need to have 2 parts fear to 1 part anger to truly emulate what it means to to really emulate love before it's lost. And once you have that quantified, okay, you have the formula, but why the fuck does it matter if you have no time with it? Like I just finished the first ending of the DLC for Cyberpunk, the Liberty something,
Liberty Unjust,
Phantom Liberty, or and
they stole that from Star Wars.
Who stole it from Dune? Fuck you and your Star Wars. But I feel like the ending I got was actually a happy ending when there was never really a happy ending for V. And the crazy part about it is like when you think about it in the context of the game, I always go back to the idea of why I prefer shows or video games and why that's altering how we view media, how we view movies and everything, because I'm going to spend 36 to 150 hours living through this character and making choices that affect my world. It's a linear path, but I get to choose where I get to go. And after that, I have to make a decision, or I get to know somebody or something and that character and how they are. And then all of a sudden at the very end, that's what's left is my decision. So when I'm watching a show based off a game, I have no control over the said world that I've been pushed into. You, especially as a Fallout player, you choose everything. How many times have you played Fallout legitimately as far as all the games?
Whew, probably hundreds of times, because again, it's usually I'll start a game and I'll play it for a good 200 hours, maybe 190 hours, and then I'll get bored with that version of it, because at that point I've unlocked everything that I could possibly do. I've already gone and done all the missions that I could possibly do for that character. So if I want to get a different ending or choose a different path, I have to restart a brand new character and really try to stay with the parameters that I'm trying to create this character. Like one of the ones that I did maybe a few years back was a Snake Eyes character. So like, I just wanted him to be like Snake Eyes would be. He can't talk, so he has limited speech. Intelligence I put all the way up. Fight skills all the way up. What's the one for sight? I can't remember. It's like perception. Put that one all the way down, like he's blind. And I just went through the world that way and only put in perks and only bought stuff that would create that type of a character in the world. And of course, going so far as to like find outfits that would be that same thing, and then just strictly going through that world with those weapons, only having a machine gun, a pistol, and the samurai sword. That was when I was playing it with Fallout 3. And so like and now even in this one, in Fallout 4, and like all the different versions that I've been playing, and this new game that I started, I wanted to start it as, instead of trying to do everything else before doing the main story, now I'm just trying to just do a straight path of going and finding my son. Like, what's the easiest way to go find my son? What's the best way to do it without causing or having to create more settlements, so I don't have any distractions? Because that ends up what ends up happening to most of my games is you get sidetracked by all the side quests or all the other little things, and then by the time you're ready to go back to the main story, you're like, well, I got all these other settlements that I got to go fucking save now because Preston is in my crew, and that's the mission he's given me. So going and finding my son is kind of like it's never been a thing to worry about. But now I'm like, I want to finish this game. I want to beat this game and get to the ending, because all the other times it's either a glitch or some decision that I've made that I have to figure out a different way to go about getting to the Institute or whatever it is to go and see the father and take on that storyline. So, but as many times as I've played, it never gets boring, and one of the things that I enjoy the most is like all the stuff that I learned from all the different videos that I watch, all the different people that I follow, and all the tips and tricks that they show about how to do settlements and the things that I've learned. It just becomes one of those things where it's a good escape from real world, and it's like,
No Name Collects asks, I got to get a charger for this real quick. I've never understood what Fallout was actually about. Do you want to give him a little bit lore while I go get a charger for
Absolutely.
this? Go for it.
All right, so Fallout, basically the whole premise is in the year 2077, China invades through Alaska, and basically a nuclear war pops off. People are driven underground, and for some people that were fortunate enough to get in with Vault-Tec, which is the company that creates and makes all these different vaults. What people don't know is the majority of all these vaults are usually science experiments and things that were developed at that time to see how humanity would react or how they would deal with the ramifications of a nuclear holocaust. And so essentially Fallout 3 is the first game I ever played of it, and I highly recommend playing this one because it is a fun experience. Probably I rate that up there with my top 3 gaming experiences of all time. But that game, it's just a lot of hours that get put into it, and everything that you do at this point when you end up in the vault, I mean, you basically grow up in a vault. So you start off as a baby, you go to the age of 10, and then just at the beginning of your birthday of turning 18, or on the day you turn 18, something happens where your dad ends up betraying the overseer, which is basically the person in charge of the vaults. Basically, he's like the president, and he ends up trying to kill your dad. Your dad gets out of the vault, and then your next mission now for the next however long it takes you is to you have to escape the vault yourself, because the overseer and all his guards they all want to kill you for the transgressions that your dad did. So it's a huge game. Like I said, when you get out, it's basically you trying to find your dad in Fallout 3. Fallout New Vegas takes place, I want to say afterwards, so Fallout 3 is on the East Coast. Fallout New Vegas is on the West Coast, and it deals with the NCR and Vegas and California. California has basically become its own state, and it's taken up all the way up to Washington, parts of Colorado, all of Nevada, and then kind of goes down into like a little bit of Mexico, but they haven't really explored any of that. But that's that particular game. And in that one, you're not in a vault on that one. You're just a guy that gets double crossed by a guy named Benny. And that one is a fun game too. A lot of the game dynamics that they added to that one had some really good things that you could do modding on your weapons, which was a little, I think it wasn't one that big thing that they added the little wheel to it. But Fallout 4 goes back on the East Coast, and it takes place mostly in Boston. And it's supposedly supposed to take place 10 years after the events of Fallout 3. Some of the lore and speculation that I've heard about that game is that your father is actually who the character was in Fallout 3.
Okay.
And so like it, and there's this guy, I got to find the video. I remember seeing this about 10 years ago. But how he broke it down, how he figured out that the character that you are in your father in Fallout 4 is actually the character from Fallout 3. And they have all this evidence to back up everything that happened in that game. And so the other great thing about Fallout and anybody that plays the games is any games previous or anything that's happened in those games, there'll be some kind of call out or connection to it, even though it'll reference it, even though you don't get access to it.
Right.
And so that's with the new show that's coming out. That's what's really cool about it is the rumor I've heard was they were making a download or a DLC that they were going to add that was going to be everything that Fallout TV series is going to be canon in the Fallout timeline.
Yeah,
and so like everything is going to connect, and then they'll have a game that you'll be able to play that's that you can get into and get a little bit more in depth and all that other stuff.
Well, you have to go that way. I mean, like when Cyberpunk did the anime, and then they actually added that to the DLC for the game, and you can find David's mom's jacket, and then you could go and talk
right,
quote unquote to the characters via text in the game, and then you find like Rebecca's gun, her shotgun.
Oh shit!
And you see where they tagged up and where they hung out, and to me, it's such an interesting thing. But it's like, oh fuck, I saw that on TV, and it's a weird. To me, it's funny because it's the same thing that happens at cons, right? When you go to Comic Cons and you see that person in real life. When I met Tom Kenny in real life, the voice of SpongeBob.
Aye. Yeah.
What the fuck? Is that your Dune impression?
That was my Dune
popcorn
impression.
button. Yeah.
I hit the popcorn.
And
it's crunchy.
What the fuck was that? But when I met him in person, short guy, really very kind. I mean, one of the nicest guys I've ever met at a con, and was like, come up to the table, and we talked for a bit. Him and my buddy Thomas, and Squidward was there, the guy who plays Patrick. And they were just the nicest people. Paul Rubens, rest his soul, he was genuinely fucking kind.
I didn't know. I don't know if John ever shared this with you. Do you know he was almost going to be a part of SpongeBob?
Who?
John Stracuzzi.
Was he going to be the Rock?
No, he was going to be one of the artists that was going to work on the show and everything, and he got the interview for it. But I can't remember why he passed on it or why he didn't get it.
He's a fucking talking sponge.
Yeah.
This is stupid.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Now let me go open a bunch of Pokemon packs.
Absolutely. And Lorcana.
Yeah, let me go ahead and open Lorcana so I can go and find my true bride, Tinkerbell. I'm coming for you. And Amy Jo Johnson, she was interesting.
What about Henry Winkler?
Oh, actually, Henry Stinkler was a very interesting gentleman, and he's dead. Fucking DED dead to me.
Dead to rights.
But Jeff Goldblum was just the oddest dude. He's an absolutely fucking. 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 He what you see on TV is him.
Yeah.
That is absolutely him. And but I feel like when people see that, they're like, "Oh my God, that's the thing that goes to this." Like, you like that shock value, you like that awe value, and I feel that when they do that in games or in shows, it makes you want to get more into what the hell that thing is. So yeah, I mean, hopefully they treat it the right way, and I hope that I don't know. I feel like it's going to be interesting. Are we going to Shortbox Live? No, unfortunately not, man. But you know. Right now, let's see, we have Fallout coming out, and then we have, what else is on the roster? It's a pretty short year this year, huh?
Yeah, because there's not a whole lot of movies that are going to be coming out other than Deadpool. And, I mean, there's some TV series that are out right now, like Bad Batch. They just started on their third and final season. The new episode came out tonight. So far, it's really good, dude. Like, that's probably one of my favorite shows that has come out from the Star Wars universe, and anything that's after Clone Wars so far, because like Rebels was good, and so now the connectivity with this one and where they're taking with Bad Batch, because this is again like in between Clone Wars to A New Hope and a Rogue One and all those things. So
nice.
Yeah.
As far as what are some things you're looking forward to yourself before we head out for tonight?
Right now, just getting through that new Transformers comic book. Issue 5 hit last week, and I got a chance to go a little bit through it, and man, it is getting better and better. One of the things I like about this this version of the Transformers is that the Decepticons are fucking evil, dude. Like they're like, especially Starscream. He's already fucking squashed like 3 people like bugs, dude, and they show it. Like, he's clapped one guy that was parachuting out, like just crushed him like this. He's stepping on people left and right. But also, I'm enjoying the way that they're handling Optimus. Like, most of the time, whenever they do any of these characters, especially with the heroes, they hold them back. You know, they always make them the goody. We can't kill them. We can only subdue them. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so with this one, like, Optimus is no joke. Like, one of the characters, Perceptor, or not Perceptor. Oh God, what is his name? He transforms into a camera. At any rate, they were attacking in this one scene. It's like they're attacking the Autobots. The Decepticons are coming in, and this character jumps in at Optimus, and Optimus has Megatron's gun at this time, and he has it attached to his arm. And just as that character's like, attack the Autobots, Prime is like, and gets close and just obliterates him, just destroys. And I'm like, this is fucking Prime. Like, this is cool. Like, I want to see more of this. Like, because it's a Prime that understands
it's war.
It's war.
What was it? War never
changes.
Yeah, he's like, I am Optimus Prime.
Oh, dude,
and get fucked.
This guy that I just started following, Fishy 22.8, I think is his handle on YouTube. He's been doing these the videos kind of like the Russian comic book guy.
Oh, nice.
And it's gotten me thinking, dude, for all the voices that we do and all the sound effects and everything else, it's like, why haven't we thought about doing like a comic? Like, have the society choose one for us, and then we'll go through and we'll do a radio play. Like, I know we would do phenomenal as Batman.
Oh, you mean the fact that I just do the same Jersey accent for everybody?
Oh, yeah.
I'm basically what's the guy I hate? The comic
historian, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah. Look at me, Batgirl, as I go out into the night. What are you doing, villain? It's me, the villain. Totally separate and not the same person. I've said that before. I would absolutely love to take a graphic novel or a comic and do a radio play.
Oh, please, that would be fun.
But getting people to do really shitty voices.
Oh, absolutely. We'd have to hire those guys that you got from Home Depot.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Available. Those are professionals.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. That was money well spent.
Yeah, sure. $1.75. I honestly, I think that would be fun to take a graphic novel or a short form story or one shot.
Well, remember we put out not too long ago, was it last year, about having somebody write a Star Wars script? Like, we wanted to do that. So I don't know if anybody ever.
No one ever fucking submitted it, but we said. I said that I would, the shop would give a gift certificate to somebody if they could write a Star Wars, the best Star Wars story. It would have to be a short story, real parts, no half-assing, but like the person that would submit it in that we would choose, but we'd have to have at least like 5 submissions to make it fair.
Right.
And that we would act out the radio play of it.
Yeah.
And that person would get a gift certificate to the thing. And I think only one person sent it in. And even then it was like they wrote in Star Wars sucks. I'm all, this one's good. This boy's good.
You're like, Chris, I got some lines for you.
Yeah,
Come
exactly.
Here
Hey, real quick, I need you to read this.
Read this. And I'm like, there's nothing
Memorize
on
it.
There's nothing on there. Perfect. Get ready to your speaking part.
What do you want to recommend for the week?
This week, definitely going to recommend Shogun on Hulu. If you haven't watched it, it's definitely worth it. The other thing I just finished watching was Undead Unluck. Man, that show is great. I didn't know it was only 1 season. So when I got to the end, I was like, what? But I think we have issues at the shop. So I'm going to look to see if it's queued up, because I've been learning that I guess some shows, they're already only 1 season, but in the manga, they're already season 2 or something else. They're already further along in the story. So if they don't have the anime, you could still watch and catch up that way. I'm like, well, shit, get me into reading some more. What else am I reading this week? Just picked up the Ultimate X-Men. This one's done by Peach Momoko. So far, Axis said it's kind of trippy. So he's curious to see what I feel about it. So I'm going to read that this week. What else am I watching, though? Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Oh, my God. I can't get enough of that show. That's like my favorite thing to watch as I'm eating dinner and just fucking laugh for the rest of the night. So, but that's pretty much it.
Nice.
Other than that, just prepping for next week, trying to get some my hand on some new toys, a couple of collections, some Disney collections.
Yeah, next Thursday
some
we're gonna
Transformers.
Next Thursday we're gonna have excuse me, a Captain Muggins and Sacred 8 Studios toy show, and then we have the 1v1 this Friday as well as next Friday. This week will be comics. So to the comic boys that were here last time, let us know if you want to come back.
Yep.
From there, let's see. What do I want to recommend?
I was gonna say, what you got on the agenda this week?
The one I've been really into, this guy. He does a lot of liminal stuff. It's called Slow and Speed.
Okay.
That's the name of the band. All one word. Numbers is the song. Really cool. Just kind of zone out to a bunch of different calming music, especially these days where everything's hectic. Akiura, which is Akiaura, so Akiura.
Akiura.
Enbu. Enbu, anything from that album is phenomenal if you like some great spatial like stuff going on. I do have a recommendation. I will be posting it soon on Sacred 8 Studios as well as Brushes of Doom. I have 2 seminars coming up.
Yeah.
I have a paint tattoo seminar coming up, teaching you that are in your beginners and your intermediates, and then I have a master's class that will be coming up. I'll be doing both here in the Sanctorum in I believe early May, and then I will be out in June doing it over in Hershey, Pennsylvania at Bill Atkinson's shop. So for you East Coasters out there, I will be over at Tatooine Body Art with Brett Stuhler and fucking Morgan. And then I'll be over at Mike Lane's shop with him and Reese, KSM, over at their shop at 1031. And then I will be over at Bill Atkinson's shop guest spotting and then doing these seminars. So for anybody that's interested, absolutely check that out. And as far as shows, the only thing I can really recommend right now, Samurai Champloo. I was rewatching that the other day, and I was just like, that and Afro Samurai. Just great soundtracks, great, absolute fucking bangers of an anime, and voice cast and stories. So, all right, well, that is everything for this week on the Sacred Society podcast. Thanks for everybody in the chat that came to hang out with us today.
Thank you all.
Be sure to keep up to date with all things Sacred 8. We are our new hours for the shop. We are closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. I am still here. but we are not open to the public. So if you need anything, I will be here tattoo wise. But Thursday through Sunday we are open normal hours. So if you guys want to come over and do some of the card nights, want to hang out with us, or just plain see us slow descent as we play with the band as the ship goes down into ice cold water. Yeah. But other than that, be sure to keep up with Dadpool at Sir Rick, Sir Rolf, and Captain Muggins. Be sure to keep up with Butch over at I Am the Smile Ghost and Butcher Brand. And be sure to keep up with myself at Brushes of Doom. And so say the society. Sold. I think it's still here. It's a little bit.
That's all right. Good show. Good show.
Good show.